YouTube, having a bit of a slow day today after 2 days of unbelievable productivity. Very, very busy. Today just seems to have slurred and stopped a little bit. So I thought I'd take the opportunity to record a video. And what I really want to talk about, actually, before I do start on the primary project, I picked up this recently. This thing here. This is Black Crusade. This is one of the role-playing books in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Basically, all they've done, taken the Warhammer 40,000 universe and strapped Dungeons and Dragons rules to it. Basically that. It's enormous fun and unbelievably detailed. That book is focused around allowing you to play as a bad guy. You get to play as a Chaos character, as a Chaos Space Marine or a Chaos Sorcerer or a Chaos Worshipper on some Imperial world. And you get to determine everything about them. The Chaos Sorcerer I'm using at the moment, who is a servant of Tzeentch, has the face of a Lord of Change and a gimpy leg. Yeah, he actually does have a mutation called Strange Walk, which makes me kind of imagine him walking like John Cleese from the Monty Python sketch in the Ministry of Silly Walks, which isn't that threatening really, but it's that hyper detailed. It's enormous fun, even if it is a huge rip-off, which it basically is, as are all of these sort of role-playing style games. They're just Dungeons and Dragons with particular universes strapped to them. Generally, it's good fun, highly recommended. The only problem is finding people to fucking play with who are willing to sort of get into character and not take it seriously as such, but just who aren't afraid of embarrassing themselves, because these role-playing games are always more fun when you really get into character, and I do. I like playing as my character. It's incredible fun when people get into it. It's very geeky, it's very nerdy, and unbelievable fun. The exercise in imagination is great. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. Oh, by the way, thank you to the Spoony one for putting me onto this stuff. My only contact with this sort of role-playing stuff, before I started watching Spoonie's videos, was the wargaming, miniatures wargaming, and video games, really, which I really like. I like role-playing video games, so I suppose it makes sense that I would make the transition to actual role-playing. Anyway, so thank you very much, Spoonie, for the Counter Monkey series, which Spoonie is doing at the moment, which is basically the Spoonie one talking about his own escapades in role-playing, which are frequently fucking hilarious. Really good series, highly recommended. Anyway, yes, what I'm actually going to talk about in this video is Transformers Prime. Which is technically the latest Transformers continuity out there. There is a cartoon out there, an animation, which is all CG, very much like Beast Wars, but with animation that is so far in advance of both Beast Wars and Beast Machines, it's not even funny. I mean, the animation in Prime, CG animation, popular CG animation in sort of like Saturday morning style cartoons is generally wank. In Beast Wars it was wank. When it came out originally, even then the animation in Beast Wars was a bit wank. I still don't mind that because the story's so good, and it gets better. It does get a lot better by the end, and in Beast Machines it's very good. It's very much more consistent. But Prime's animation is great. But it's not only that. Prime has a collision of elements that's really, really quite wonderful. It has the Beast Wars style of storytelling. That is, rather than being like the G1 cartoon, an extended toy commercial, where the whole onus is just getting as many of the fucking characters on screen and looking cool as possible, to the detriment of any story or character development. The characters are pared right down, so you have this handful of Autobots with... There is actually an army of Decepticons, but rather than having an army of named characters, which would of course would have diluted the level of character development each one could have, what you have is a handful of sort of lieutenant characters who are the ones that have personalities, and then an army like Beast Machines, an army of drone style characters called Vehicons, funnily enough. So the character development is focused and close and very, very high. Now, when it first started, it was very promising, and I mean really promising. Transformers Prime started with, I think it was a 2 or 3 part opening sort of mini movie that was very, very good. The characterization was superb for all of the characters. We have Peter Cullen back as Prime, wonderful, and a Peter Cullen Prime who isn't that murderous twat from the movies, that badly characterized, just awful characterization of Prime that you get in the live action. I mean, really awful. At the end of Dark of the Moon, where you have Megatron effectively surrendering, just saying, "I want to go home," and Prime just murdering him viciously. Yeah. Anyway, enough about that. We won't focus on the shit fucking movies in this review. God, I do hate Michael Bay with a fiery passion. Yeah, we have a Cullen Prime who is back to the very upstanding, steadfast Arthurian archetype that we got from the G1 cartoon, really. But even more so, this Prime has history. This Prime has nuance and character. He's not just the cardboard cutout 1980s cartoon hero. He has development and considerations and ambiguities. He's really well done. And again, on the other side, for the Decepticons, we have Frank Welker back as Megatron and doing a fucking spectacular job. I mean, it's not just Welker is great in this role. He sounds old. Megatron sounds really old in this show, and weary and cynical and really bitter. But the writing for Megatron is excellent in this show. There's a tendency to make Megatron less capable than he believes himself to be in Transformers continuities. The only ones where they've avoided that are shows like Animated, where you had this kick-ass Megatron played by Corey Burton, who could take out all of the Autobots at once if it so pleased him. We have that similar thing here. Megatron in Prime is spectacular. I mean, he is one of my favourite portrayals of an almost G1 style Megatron. He's not G1, but he's G1 style. He's clever, he's manipulative, subtle, and at the same time very, very brave and brutal. He leads directly from the front, and he just dives right in. What you do not get in Prime is Decepticons retreat every 2 seconds. You do not get that. Megatron is a force of fucking nature in this cartoon. He's wonderful. The same goes for Soundwave. Soundwave a lot of people don't like, because Soundwave in this continuity does not speak. He doesn't have a voice. He's completely silent. Completely silent. Very, very sinister. I like that portrayal of Soundwave personally. I've always liked that. I think Soundwave is at his most effective when he makes no noise at all. He doesn't speak, but he has this presence. He's very loyal to, I mean, unbelievably loyal to Megatron. Sinister as all hell. Very competent, quiet. He's almost like a Black Ops agent in Prime. And then you have the wonderful Starscream, who, the voice actor, by the way, who plays Starscream, this is my favourite Starscream ever. Ever. The writing, the voice acting, that slightly hunched and creepy Igor style effect that he has going on with his long pincers and his gangly arms. I just love it. I love it. Starscream in this continuity is clever. He's unbelievably clever and manipulative, and he relies a lot on his voice and on his powers of persuasion, which are profound. It's a great portrayal of Starscream and one of my absolute favourites. The same goes for the Autobots. The Autobots, they're not as distinct or as well defined, sadly, as the Decepticons, and they are not as well defined thus far as, say, the Maximals were in Beast Wars. They tend to rely a little bit too much on the archetypes that were established early on. That's not to say they don't have histories and whatnot, they do, but they're not quite as well established yet. They could do with just a little bit more oomph. We have Ratchet, Bumblebee, Prime, and Arcee. Now, Arcee is my favourite of the Autobots thus far, and I never thought I'd ever be saying that. Arcee generally is a character that the writers don't know what to do with, the animators don't know what to do with. She is always either a simpering victim character, babysitter, nurse kind of character, or she is a psychopath. Sort of like a pre-menopausal lunatic. Either way, a very insulting sort of female, anti-feminist archetype in many respects. This Arcee is a character before she's a female. That's the thing. The Arcee in Prime could be a male character. It could be anyone. The fact of her femininity or her femaleness is incidental, completely incidental to the character. And the character has stuff going on. She has a history too. She has a past. In fact, she's quite damaged. She's a bit of a vicious fighter, Arcee. She's one of the faster Autobots, and she tends to work with blades and whatnot. But she's been traumatized by losing so many field partners to the Decepticons, and she's lost quite a lot. One of the ways of surviving, it seems, in the Transformers Prime universe is not partnering up with Arcee. But it's a really good portrayal of the character. She is not some simpering female archetype. She's not some psycho hormonal female archetype. She's just a character, which is great. I don't like Bumblebee. I really don't like Bumblebee. Bumblebee is basically the movie Bumblebee. You know, he can't speak. Although in recent episodes, the reason for that has come about, and that it's pretty good. It's pretty good. There's a wonderful scene where you don't actually see it, but Megatron basically rips his voice box out, and it's quite cool. But I don't like Bumblebee. Bumblebee, I'm sick to fucking death of Bumblebees in general. Just Bumblebees in Transformers are annoying. Alright, we've had so many of them. We don't want any more. Please, just get rid of them, please. But generally speaking, really good characterization. Now, I had my doubts about the series following its opening episodes. I had my doubts because it started to slip into an almost G1 style format where you were getting characters coming in who would then last for an episode, then disappear. They would just be the character of the week, or you would get a Doomsday weapon of the week, or a story of the week that didn't seem to have any relevance to any ongoing story arcs. And that's really what I want from Transformers. It's what I want from cartoons in general. I want an ongoing story, like Animated. Animated did the episodic thing, where you had self-contained episodes, but across which there was an ongoing story arc playing out. I didn't know whether this was what Prime was doing initially on, or whether it was just going for the episodic format. Turns out that actually they were going for an ongoing story, which thus far is really good. I mean, it's really strong. It's very, very good indeed. It's picked up impetus, and what they've done is taken elements from various different Transformers continuities, from the games too, from the War for Cybertron stuff. There are elements lifted from all of them and melded together. For example, Prime was Orion Pax. There are massive references to Prime's past before he became Prime. Prime was Orion Pax, who used to be a data archivist on Cybertron before he became the Prime, and was by all accounts very, very mild-mannered, very, very sort of pacifist. Megatron too. Megatron has an incredible past on this. There are references to the Autobot High Council and to the machinations of Cybertronian politics that occurred before the Autobots and Decepticons were even a concept. Megatron, or Megatronus as he was called, wanted to be a Prime. He was actually the Lord Protector of Cybertron at one point, and was partnered with Prime. So they have this incredible past between them. It's really, really quite rich. It's only just started to come about. Really. And it did take a while to pick up impetus, but now it's started rolling. It's doing really well. I'm quite impressed. We might even have, if it keeps up with this level of storytelling, we might even eventually have something that can mirror or at least match Beast Machines in terms of its storytelling panache and its mythological interests and whatnot. It's not quite there yet. It definitely doesn't have the direction and the impetus that Beast Machines does. The thing with Beast Machines was that there was always a sense that it was building towards something, that there was a very definite arc for all of the characters and for the overall mythology to which the cartoon was building. We haven't quite got that yet with Prime, but it's getting there. It's very much getting there, and I'm very impressed. For all the issues I'm currently having with the toys and their production and whatnot, which I do, I'm still finding it difficult to take much joy from the toys at the moment. But the cartoon is really good. I mean, it's well worth a look. And if you're one of those people who, like me, who kind of left it alone for a little while during the first season because it didn't have enough impetus behind it, go back to it and just persevere, because it does start to pick up, especially towards the end of season 1. It really does. The human characters are good too. I mean, they can be annoying. Miko in particular, I wish someone would step on, because she's not just annoying, she's fucking dangerous. She's a really self-interested little so-and-so who very, very often puts herself in situations where she jeopardizes everyone else. I don't like Miko at all. But the other characters are really well developed. My favourite is Jack's mum. Jack's mum, who Jack is one of the kids who initially finds the Transformers, and nobody knows about them apart from these kids, the government who the Transformers actually work with to fight against the Decepticons. And eventually Jack's mother finds out. And the episode where she finds out is one of my absolute favourites. One of my absolute favourites because of the way she reacts to them and the way they react to her and how that relationship has developed. It's really, really quite cool. So yeah, I'm enjoying Prime. I am enjoying it. As they go, I think it's really good. And I'm so happy to have an alternative Transformers universe to the fucking movies.